I'm going to introduce two people you probably haven't met before. Philip Portwood, who is our lay member on the board, was a lay member in Ealing CCG and is our lay member responsible for patient and public engagement. And Carmel Cahill, who is chair of Ealing Links and is also on Ealing CCG's governing body. We're going to really tell us what it's like from the outside.
Okay, me again, we'll try and be fairly swift, and we've got 3 key slides in the map. I thought we'd start with just a couple of quotes. One is a very recent development one from now the not very recent Secretary of State. I'm sure Mr. Hummel said the same thing about the importance of the government of patient and public involvement and engagement. The other one is a quote familiar to politicians. It's how a lot of people feel at times when engaging with the public. And it's important to realise that's a natural reaction, but not the right reaction, I suppose to say. And for all the tensions and difficulties and problems you can get, the benefits that come from it are worth sometimes hassle and difficulty.
Ask the sinner.
Right. Okay, when we went to our interview with Authorisation, we had a very pompous governance, McKinsey-style governance, talk about the role of lay members, and we thought that's been more interesting today. So I give you the Muppet Show analogy around the role of lay members, not just myself and Carmel's dress, but also in your practices and more widely. You remember the Muppet Show, there's some old guys who sit in the box, Waldorf and Statler, who heckle all the time, everything that happens. They heckle Kermit, they heckle poor old Fozzie Bear. Before you say it, I recognise a certain political representative to me, Fozzie Bear. And they heckle Miss Piggy. But the point about our role as lay members is that we are not about heckling from the sidelines, we're about being inside, a critical friend inside the organisation, bringing in an external perspective, very much part of the team, not seeking to have a go or a make. So some of those strategies that Fozzie and Piggy used. Fozzie was the resilient optimist, never let it get him down, always talked through the heckling, told his terrible jokes as frequently as ever. And Piggy's approach was rather more direct, you could say. I call it dry, politely here. But you know, it was a sharp word, it's not a sharp kick, but make it fair address. And there's some characteristics of Kermit might be useful. He was less every man than every frog, but kind of an ordinary perspective, bringing it in. And it's important that we are not clinically qualified as lay people. It's about bringing in that non-clinical perspective. It's about being talking to people outside of the professional world. It's very easy for those of you professionals, I'm sure you recognise, to think in a professional context and not recognise the way in which you need to engage with the wider community and particularly with patients. And it is that glorious song from the original Muppet movie, Rainbow Connection, the whole diversity agenda, which in Ealing is a very distinctive agenda. We have what you could call a very diverse version of diversity here. It's not one set of communities with, you know, the numbers around births to mothers born, mothers in Ealing in 140 odd countries, 2/3 of the UN. You know, it's very diverse and very complicated. I should stress we were debating earlier other Muppet characters, and we've got some ideas for Animal and the Swedish Chef. We won't go there maybe quite now. So,
Okay. When we started this new journey, Jenny was sort of our sidekick, and it's changed, she's gone, but that's as life is. And she had 3 principles that she stated that will tell people what won't change in order to reassure them. And I think that's a really, really important message at the moment, when the media are doing nothing but telling people that health is changing. And we must be as honest as possible about what we will and we won't do and the implications. And then we must listen first and talk second. Now I'm going to sort of do a couple of examples of this. Now there are things, what do people worry about? People worry about, why are they changing my medication? And formularies are coming in, there will be changes in medication coming on. How do we approach it with people? People who, particularly older people, that may not understand. So people get concerned about these things. There are more treatments that have thresholds. How do we make people understand those? Because people don't understand. And these are the things you're going to have to face every day. And people asking you around shaping a healthier future, what does that mean for me? My A&E's closing. What does that mean for me? What am I going to do? Okay, I know a bit about these things. Thank you, Adam Jenkins, who was the first person to employ me in a role in health. And I've 9 to 10 years background, and I can go out and tell people. And we have people like Links that we work for who are doing a sterling job to teach people. You all should have practice groups. Do you talk about these types of things with your practice groups? Because they're there to help you, and they'll tell their neighbours, and their neighbours will tell their neighbours. And so we use all the networks to get the message across. Now I'm going to go back to something Finn was talking about, the CQC. Now, the new Health Watch is going to be like that with the CQC. It's going to be made to report every little word that it hears to the CQC. There are whole monitoring systems being built. How do we work with that? How do we understand it? And how do we work with our patients to ensure that that message goes through well? Whoops, I pressed the wrong button. Right. Oh, right, yes.
First, I would say.
All right, I'll go first. Okay. I've forgotten about this one. We came out very well with the authorisation inspection team because we have a bottom-up approach to patient health and patient involvement. And actually in Ealing, we have a long history of it. And part of that comes from the PCT's commitment to working with the local authority on joint commissioning. And all of that joint commissioning and all the boards that were set up had historically included both patients and the voluntary sector. So we've got a building block that is far, far better than most of our neighbouring boroughs. We've a grown-up relationship with all our key stakeholders. And I'm going to pass back to my fancy friend here to do the last little bit.
Right, yeah, well, we thought it's important you hear a bit about what it says in the authorisation interview, because as Nahidi said, we've got authorisation, we'll get authorisation without conditions. But it's important we make a reality of the kind of rhetoric and the pitch we make to people. And that's where the bottom-up thing is important. They understandably asked us about relationship with the council. They'd driven to Armstrong Way past the town hall and seen the big banner inside. So we talked about the fact that we can disagree. Well, we can have all sorts of issues with politicians and officers at the council that work on a practical level on the ground. And as say here, that's a grown-up relationship. It's a very long and quite deep relationship. The old PCT pioneered in the early part of the last decade, so really used to work around joint working. But we're conscious that this is a new organisation, a new approach, a new world, and a new financial context. And it's important that we actually hardwire into our DNA, into the whole basis of our culture as an organisation, those principles around public and patient engagement, about joint working, all the values that come with that, about respecting others, about engaging with people, about having a golden thread through everything we do that thinks about the outcomes, what happens to the people rather than what goes in terms of professional input or practicality. And that's really quite crucial and important. We think that's doable, we think the attitude is there, the experience we show we can do that, but it's going to be challenging. The last thing we put on the edges is to stress it's all about a bigger picture, really. And there are lots of maps you could use to talk about the context of this borough and its deprivation and the wider determinants of health and so on. This is one I think is quite powerful. The pink areas on this is a children's centre strategy map the council produced because they're required where an area is more than in the 30% most deprived area in England, in a special additional offer for children's centres. The pink areas are those on this map. And you see, unsurprisingly, majority of Southall is in the 30% most deprived in England, majority of Northolt, all of Northolt West End ward, and majority of East Acton and most of South Acton ward. But look around the rest of it. And apart from 3 wards in Southhill, Northhill and Hammer Hill, every one of the wards in this borough has at least one area that is in the 30% most deprived in England. So part of Ealing Broadway Ward, part of Ealing Common Ward, part of the Cleveland Ward, part of the Walpole Ward in central Ealing. Areas you wouldn't associate with deprivation, don't look deprived, don't feel deprived when you walk on a cycle around them. But it's there, hidden away, behind the scenes. That's a crucial background, that's the big picture for us and what we do about the Matron Aspire and more broadly. Last thing we say is please feel free to talk to us. Finn's arranged me to go and visit some PPGs, go and look at pastoral work in action. Carmel's always around doing various things, particularly with the voluntary and community sector. But please feel free to contact us. Here's how to do so, and thank you for listening.